I feel like the only thing I need to know about Trump's new campaign for 2024 is that he tried to mount a coup to overthrow the United States government, that he loosed a mob on Capitol Hill that was chanting, "Hang Mike Pence," and that he might very well be criminally charged.
That's the lead, of course. And I think that Trump is, a twice impeached president. And all of the baggage that comes with him that you mentioned is what's keeping Republicans not as enthusiastic about his bid this time. I was texting with GOP operative, somebody who used to be an advisor to the Trump White House. And, one person's assessment was the speech was brutal. And this other person said, I'm tired of hearing from him. So I think there's a sense within the Republican Party itself that should Trump have announced right now? No. Should he announce ever again? Maybe not. And I think Republicans are mad about their losses that happened last week in the midterms. And then I also think that deep down, some of them are angry about what happened on January 6th. They do recognize that he had a hand in the mob coming to the Capitol and that it's not acceptable that he should be running for president again.
How are you feeling about democracy right now? I feel ambiguous in a lot of the places, most of the places where democracy was really on the ballot or an authoritarian election denier was running to control elections, Nevada, Arizona, Michigan, they all lost. They almost all lost. Good news. On the other hand, there are lots of right-wing activists, Trump activists online right now, pushing, don't certify Arizona, Kari Lake, fight, stop the steal.
For 2 years, I've been sounding the alarm about our broken election system here in Arizona. And this past week has confirmed everything we've been saying.
Speaking with lawmakers and people in DC in the last few days, they kind of express a similar mix of emotions. Election denialism, if we look at it broadly in the way that people who dug into that as a top issue on the campaign trail was a losing issue on the campaign trail. Lawmakers that I've spoken with, Democrats in the Senate, told me within the last few days that it was a sign that the American people were paying attention to democracy being on the ballot, that perhaps President Biden's speech that he gave that was widely criticized by Republicans.
And Democrats.
And Democrats too, who thought it was out of touch or not talking about the issues that Americans cared about, that they said, hey, he's vindicated. Americans did care about election denialism. I do think in that same breath, the same Democrats that I spoke with who, said that they were fighting to keep democracy at the forefront, believe that that fight is not over. And that because there are still candidates who are not conceding, that those people will continue to spread misinformation, lies about elections, and that will continue to be a threat going into 2024.
Until we have elections where those who lose accept the results and those who have been involved in an attempt to overturn an election are held accountable, we still have some work to do across our country.
Well, I think it survived this battle, but this is, there'll be other battles.
We have to fight that battle every election cycle, right?
That makes me want to talk about Lindsey Graham. I got to talk about Lindsey Graham. And Lindsey Graham, Mr. Count Me Out, is this week, today, saying Trump can win again. I'm for Trump. What a great speech. They're not off of this thing. A party that just lost an election on a platform of a stolen election and voters rejected it, normally that party would say, well, we're not doing that again. What a loser. This Republican Party is not necessarily doing that. They have a demonstrated history of keeping to run after things and running them into the ground.
I think Lindsey Graham is a perfect distillation of the push and pull or the hypocrisy of the Republican Party when it comes to Trump. He said after the insurrection, I'm done with this, no more.
Count me out.
Count me out of President Trump. And this week, hearing from him saying, I wish he would postpone his announcement, his bid for presidency, but I still talk with him. I could see him having a comeback here in this country. So Graham, I think, setting Trump up once again to potentially get back into the arena.
I'm very close to him. I think he has a decent chance of coming back, maybe a good chance, depending on how the country unfolds in the next year.
And the endorsements are racking up even now. Not a million of them, but I counted 6 or 7 in my timeline just today, Republicans reacting to Trump's speech saying, I'm 100% for Donald Trump. So it's real for them.
Totally. I think it's real. And I think that him announcing this early, that was part of the strategy, right? Was to garner support from members of Congress or from influential MAGA figures to clear the field and to get these endorsements early and to have people tweeting the day after that I'm so excited that he's gotten into the race. That builds momentum, that builds fundraising. It's going to be a long 700 plus days. He needs all that to get over the finish line if he ever wants to win again.
So maybe we should end sort of where we started. Is democracy safe? On the one hand, a lot of Republicans don't want Trump to run again. On the other hand, even if Trump got out tomorrow, I think that the authoritarian impulse in the contemporary GOP runs deeper than him. It clearly does. It doesn't die if Trump leaves the process. He might not harp on it every day. It might not be driven down people's throats, stop the steal. But there are lots of people in Arizona. There are lots of people in Michigan, lots of people in Pennsylvania who will not stop with stop the steal.
It has grown beyond him. I definitely agree with that. And I definitely think that our reporting has shown that in the last few months, that people talk about the stolen election and future elections being stolen, and Trump is not even mentioned anymore. It has really metastasized beyond him. For me, I feel optimistic about what happened. I was in Arizona for the whole week, but I also saw some of the crowds and then some of the coverage after we had left of who was outside protesting on a Saturday, kind of a small crowd. I wonder if this sort of stop the steal and the violence that Trump manifested after his loss really will permeate beyond an election with his name on the ballot. He wasn't on the ballot this time. Do people in Arizona really care enough to go out and, I don't know, potentially try something to overtake the election center there? I'm not sure. And so far we haven't seen that, which I think is a very good thing.
I think it's a good thing too. It's back on the ballot again though. So the next time,
Yes.
if he is on the ballot, that's when we're back at it, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm Michael Learmonth, editor-in-chief of Vice News. Too often, traditional news outlets shy away from the real stories and experiences of those living through global conflicts. Not Vice News. Our reporters are on the ground, fearlessly covering the human stories that shape our world. You and millions of others can continue to read, watch, and listen to Vice News for free. But we hope you'll consider making a one-time or ongoing contribution of any size at vice.com/contribute. Every contribution, no matter how big or small, helps support the journalism Vice News brings to you every day. Thank you.